assume so.
basement, so we went so deep into the ground.
Good evening. I'll call to order our Stormwater Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 8th. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
At our last meeting, one of the takeaways was to take a look at the bylaws that we passed out a couple of times at our first meeting and not the second after that, but at the beginning of this year, with an idea towards updating them if you felt they needed to be updated. During the last 3 months, I collected a handful of recommendations from some of you that sent them in. I also made a couple of recommended changes. That's what was sent to you last week with the agenda. So there were actually 3 parts that looked kind of the same. The first part was, here's what our bylaws look like right now. Second piece in there was, here's what they would look like if all of the proposed changes were accepted. And then the third piece, the piece that had the red ink on it, or the red text, was showing kind of the walk, what the changes were, the reconciliation from our current to our proposed bylaws. I didn't schedule anything else on our agenda tonight because I wasn't sure what level of detail you guys wanted to go through these. So my recommendation would be to take a look at the changes that were made and then just discuss if anybody is unclear on something, if it's something that maybe some of us don't support or prefer something to be worded a little bit differently. I'll take notes. And then if we end up not adopting everything tonight, I will come back at our next meeting, and just one of the items on the agenda will be the second changes that we made. And I'll send those out well ahead of our next meeting, so by the time we get to the 3 months out, everybody will have had an opportunity to look at them and to weigh in at least once, and some of you a couple of times. Are there any questions before we jump into it?
No.
Okay. So looking at the first page of the bylaws, Article 1, bullet point A, really we just, capitalized the word mayor, but just changed the wording so it reads a little bit more smoothly. It still references the 6 years, except, for the first term as they're staggered, but no significant changes to that item. In bullet point B, really, again, just cleaning up a little bit of the wording without changing any of the any of the substance to the item. And then in bullet point E, again, just consistently capitalizing mayor and hyphenating, the 6 years, and then changing one item from he to she after the semicolon where it talks about it referencing back to the mayor. It had said, he, also makes appointments, and changed that to she just because Mayor Lawbaugh, is a female, and if that were to change again in the future, we could change it back at that time.
Just to make it a little bit easier, does it make sense to just say mayor instead of he or she?
Or he/she.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Just something so you don't need to make changes all the
Yeah.
time if it jumps back and forth for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm fine with changing that to just to say, the mayor also makes, if that's agreeable to.
Yeah, sure. I like that.
In the next sentence, just change the word from insure to ensure. And then little bit of punctuation changes, no substantive changes. Article 2, again, hyphenating a phrase there, and then just removing some extra words that don't change the substance or the meaning. We go on to the second page of your handout. We basically updated this to say the city engineer or his designee. And I think, where we talked about, at one point, I think originally it referred to a member of the commission. I know one of the comments that I received said, hey, it's typically been the city engineer that's fulfilled this role. I added the word "or his designee" just because that tends to be our current practice of saying, this person or his designee. That way, if, the city engineer couldn't make it to that, a meeting or something like that, somebody else could go in his place. Moving down to Article 3. Let's see here. Really more just changing the readability of that. Don't see that changing the substance of the meaning for bullet point B. Kind of the same thing with bullet point C, just trying to make it a little bit easier to read. No substantive issues on the remainder of that page. Under Article 5, meeting and notice of minutes, so I received a couple comments about, hey, let's change this to what our current meeting schedule is, which is referencing, the second Tuesday of every third month, 5 p.m. Here in chambers, right before the Public Service Committee meeting. So that's more just a statement of fact of what our current meeting plan is.
If I could make a comment on
Yep.
that, maybe I misunderstood when we first started coming back together here, a year ago or so. I thought we were always going to meet prior to the Public Works Commission? Or is
Public
that
service.
wrong?
Yeah, Public Service Committee.
Public service, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah.
So would it be better to just say, we will always meet prior to, or a half hour prior to,
Well,
on the same day, or? I
Yeah.
don't mind changing it, it's just every time if they happen, when I say they, Public Service happens to move their meeting around, then our meeting's going to move around, I'm assuming.
So, it could, part of it would, we have a lot of different meetings in the evenings, different commissions, different committees, and sometimes meetings get stacked up from a council perspective, where you might have, one meeting leading into another. So it would not be a given that if the council meeting changed, from the second Tuesday to something else for the month, that we would then also move the Stormwater Commission meeting. Now, one of the things, Julie is very good at sending out regular updates to the meeting schedule, where the meetings are listed by date and time, as well as pointing out any, and actually highlighting any changes to those meetings. So I'm open to whatever language that you guys think makes sense. If you remember, we started at a time when the Public Service Committee met on the third Monday of the month. That committee meeting night has changed, and for now, that is, going forward, unless the committee members want to do something different, that will be the standing meeting time on that. But it's, part of it is really a convenience for City Council, because Mr. Copley happens to be the council representative to this commission. He is also on the Public Service Committee. Tom Stugmeyer, who had been affiliated at one time with the Stormwater Commission, is also on the Public Service Committee. So it made sense to do it when we've got a couple of those folks that can kind of take advantage of two meetings. But it's, council's meeting schedule, which is I don't want to say the more important, but that's the one that's more likely to be changed to accommodate the needs of council, may at times dictate that, you know, we can't meet before that meeting. So you tell me if, you know, what your thoughts are. I mean, I could simply just take out the sentence that these meetings shall take place immediately before the regular scheduled Public Service Committee meeting.
Or just do the other word generally. That might be a way to make it easy.
Maybe change the shall to may?
May take place, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to be flexible here so that if, again, if the public service meeting moves and we are to meet a half hour prior to that meeting, then,
Then we automatically move.
yeah, then we just move.
Well, we moved public service because the issue was having on Monday, it was the night before the council meeting, okay? And if there's any legislation that needed to be written up or anything like that, that's why
Sure.
we moved it back to
Yeah.
Tuesday night, a week before our council meeting. That was the whole intent of moving it.
And I think none of us have a problem with that. I guess I'm just trying to say, instead of locking us down to say it's at 5 o'clock on the second Tuesday of every third month, if your meeting moves, then that doesn't hold true anymore. And
Well, again, what I want to make clear is that there could be an instance where the Public Service Committee moves its night, and the Stormwater Commission would stay at the same time.
okay,
Okay. You
well,
know,
we're fine with that then.
yeah, I mean, council sometimes moves their meeting to accommodate either other events or to, you know, maybe they have a work session or something like that. But I will make the change from shall to may, so that's, you know, a little broader and doesn't hem us in as much.
Okay. I'm just trying to be flexible here, so make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys tell me, I mean, ultimately, you guys, you know, I'll put together the documents, but it's, you know, your wishes that are to be reflected in it. Part D, just cleaning up the language so it reads a little bit better. In D, bullet point D1, we updated it to include email address. It must have been a while since it was last updated because that was nowhere in there. And we also really, again, just cleaned up, you know, the readability of media representatives. In bullet point 2, D, or D2B, we really just talk about the ability to leave an email message as well as advance notification. Typically, what would happen is, you know, if I knew that for whatever the reason the meeting would change, you know, as soon as I find out, I would notify everybody on the commission and council representatives. If something were to happen, you know, within, say, 24 hours before then, some type of emergency event or something like that, we would make an effort to both call and email everybody to increase the likelihood that, you know, we could save everybody a trip from coming down. Section, Article 6 here, this is mostly me, and I'll tell you what I did. I took what was in there as the order of business, and I actually used artificial intelligence, and I said, take what we have and adjust it as may be needed so it reflects the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order. So it came back and, suggested changes similar to this. I changed a little bit of the wording, staff reports instead of, hearing reports from staff or something to that effect. Interestingly enough, it did mention in a couple places that old business has been replaced by unfinished business in the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Largely, though, the items in the wording are from the the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, and I think that's actually been out for a little while now. So I don't know if anybody has any concerns or questions or would like changes to that section. Article 7, minor change to basically just removing the word, literally the word "to." Article 8, again, shortening that just by changing the flow of the, in the case of, or the flow of the verb from the determination of to just determining, removing, some extra wording there in the event of a tie vote, so it just says in a tie vote. Change, provide advice to advise in Article 9. 9B, really again, just shortening some of the sentences with, for readability without changing the meaning. So instead of documents of the Stormwater Commission, it's just Stormwater Commission's documents. Article 10, kind of the same thing there, review the previous year's activities. So for this particular item, I know one of the comments that I received is, hey, we could make that, this meeting where we look at the an annual review. But I thought it made sense to put it, since we're going to meet in January's, that it would make sense that the first meeting in January, we look back on the year that just ended. So I suggested there that the review meeting would be our first meeting of the calendar year, which would be the January meeting. And one nice thing is, one of the issues that we've had over the past couple of years is that typically the January and February Public Service Committee meetings fell on a holiday, Martin Luther King Day and then President's Day. By moving them from the third Monday to the second Tuesday, we shouldn't have any disruptions in our meeting schedule. Wording change just from Director of Law to Law Director. So, one of the comments that I received with regard to Article 12, Section A is that, hey, we should probably, stick some kind of language in there about speaking time. And, I looked through whatever documents I had. I looked, through something that, I had an email or something from Tom Morris when he was the law director. And I didn't find anything that's necessarily specified a particular time, like it had to be 2 minutes, had to be 5 minutes. I know oftentimes in council meetings, council chooses to go with, depending on how many folks are in the crowd, 2 or 3 minutes. So I adopted, or recommended 3 minutes. And again, that's, the chair of the commission can choose to waive that, but there wasn't any science about it other than this seems to be the most prevalent speaking time that is involved with our meetings or commissions. Let's see. Section 12B, again, just identifying there that a maximum of 3 minutes. And let me back up a minute, because there is a distinction that's worth pointing out, is that in Section 12, we're talking about public hearings and working sessions. In Section B, it's basically regular and emergency meetings. And then, bullet point C is just, all commission proceedings. So the commonality between points A and B is that I just set it for, 3 minutes unless the, commissioners decide otherwise, just so it's the same amount of time. We added, changed the language a little bit to basically say, hey, please be respectful, and that if you're not going to be respectful, then, the commissioner, the chair can basically, order you to be silent during the meeting. I would say that that's typically not an issue with any of our, any of the meetings that I've attended. But it does, stick that in there, so, for whatever the reason, if somebody, I see this more as if maybe somebody says something and another citizen has an issue with what that person said and attack them than, them addressing anything to us. 12, wording change basically says, hey, if any provision, doesn't turn out to be legal, that doesn't mess up the rest of this. And that's basically it. So to recap, with the items that we just reviewed, additional changes that I will make, let me find it here. Will be changing the wording on page 1, Article 1, item E, to just basically eliminate the pronoun reference he or she and just change it to the mayor. The other item that'll change is under Article 5, bullet point A, where we'll change the reference to shall take place immediately before the Public Service Committee meeting to may, to make that a little bit more flexible sounding. And what I would say is, what questions or issues or thoughts do you have other than these changes? Are you happy with the proposed revisions? Would you, rather have until the next meeting to think on it, or to maybe think about if you want some additional changes? You tell me.
It looks good to me.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, with the proposed changes, so
Yeah,
I'll make a motion
Okay,
then to approve the changes as noted today
okay.
and as presented prior to this meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. And I will, of course, send out the final cleaned up version to everybody. I've sent it out after I make the couple changes, so.
We got to vote on that motion, though. There's still a motion on the table.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
thank you, Ralph, because I was hearing, motion and.
There's a first and a second.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're on.
Leave a motion layout
Resolve the
there.
cord, yeah, resolve the cord.
So,
Not trying to tell you
all
what to
ye-
do.
no,
I
that's
just-
helpful, and I appreciate it. So all yeas, any nays?
Thank you.
Okay. We do have a little bit of time, so I'll go over a couple of the items that we've talked about at our previous meeting and just give you an update. Right now, I'm actually, we've put together a new, or an updated capital plan for the city. We've not yet presented it to council, but Matt and I are reviewing it tomorrow, just to kind of clean it up and edit it and make sure that, it's in the same format and what you guys are used to seeing. And it does have some stormwater items on there. I would anticipate, it'll go through initial review with council as we get into the tax budget season. But again, the tax budget season is almost kind of like a draft of our budget. It's not until we get into August and September where we're really working on the appropriation budget, which is ultimately the appropriation request is the administration's request to council of, okay, this is what we would like, and then it's reviewed by council over a couple of months. And at that point, at some point, council will adopt a budget, and that becomes the official budget. So while we're working on the capital improvement plan, some of the projects in there would not be adopted for a while. I mention that because I know one of the things that the commission's talked about is, you know, we probably need to take a look at our cost structure and, you know, the adequacy of the stormwater rate to see if that needs to be adjusted. So one of the biggest components in any rate study or evaluation that we do is the capital projects. I mean, that's the piece that you know, is a little bit harder to pin down because those costs can vary by project and by year, and they're not quite as stable. But at some point here, we will have a pretty good idea what those costs will be. So I have got it on my agenda, you know, my particular agenda, to bring that back up. As will we bring back up, you know, a couple of the things that we talked about is there, you know, what methods might be most effective and most economical for updating our impervious surface maps. And, you know, one of the things that I know Glenn has been tasked with is, you know, taking a look at our dry basement program and seeing if there are some changes or adjustments we can make to that would make it more attractive to people, because you know, we haven't gotten a lot of feedback from that. And I know one of the things we talked about at one of our meetings was more of a marketing effort, and we said, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's wait to see what we can come up with. So I'm hoping that we'll have some progress on that by our next meeting, which would be in July.
Do you think it would be a good idea to provide the commission the capital plan that involves stormwater before our July meeting? Because you're already into the tax budget.
Yeah.
We'll be past that, to give us guys, give
yeah,
them a
I
couple
can.
months to look at capital projects
Yeah.
that's proposed by the city.
Yep.
Okay? So that you have input into that before it goes to the appropriations budget.
Yeah, so what I'll do is...
Just my thought.
Yeah, well, it's a good thought. Once we, you know, once it's ready and you know, well, I'll ask, you know, I'll ask my boss to make sure that it's okay, because, you know, from our perspective, it's not official, you know, ultimately it won't be official until at some point when council approves it. So as long as we're all aware that it's, you know, it's a work in progress as time progresses. I'm sure that there will be new things that'll be added. As I mentioned previously, you know, the stormwater section of the capital budget, or our stormwater infrastructure, that's probably the least built out portion of things, where, you know, we've got a very strong water, sanitary, sewer, you know, electric infrastructures that we're used to, you know, maintaining. Capital projects, you know, replacements occur on a regular basis. I would say that, you know, we haven't done as much of that, and not in any type of consistent manner with the stormwater piece, but that's something that, in addition to the stuff that's on there now, that, you know, we're trying to be diligent and consistent, not only to, you know, give you guys as much information as possible when we're looking at, you know, possible rate adjustments, but really to, like anything else, to make sure that we're taking care of the storm system the same way that, you know, we're proactively taking care of our other utility infrastructure.
Just throw something out, and this is me going off of memory, and some of you that have been on council for a while might remember it. I remember there were some very nice, I'm going to call them quadrant maps. More or less the city was broken up into like 4 quadrants, and a questionnaire was sent out to the public, I believe, or there were open houses held here at City Hall, and people could come with their stormwater issues, whether it was backyard issues or creek issues or whatever the issues were,
That's
street
how the
flooding.
Creek project got
Yeah.
started from my
Yeah.
recollection.
Yeah, so I don't know how long it's been since we've done that. I know it's been a while.
10 years or more.
Yeah, so maybe it's time to consider something like that again to help build out some of your future stormwater
Okay.
problems, or...
And what I would say, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I would, you know, my recommendation would be, let's work up some, potential changes to the program that would make the program more attractive, get everybody's buy-in, and then, once we're happy with it, then, we let folks come in and share whatever they want to share, but also then we can share with them, here's the program, here's how you take advantage of it. Let me just put Glenn on the spot a little bit. Is, the 3 months that lead to our next meeting, does that give you a reasonable amount of time to look at some changes? Or I know you've got 100 things going on.
I don't want to make it too mysterious. I guess one of the issues of the program we've kind of been discussing is, what's the regulatory purpose of the program? What are we accomplishing? Who are we benefiting? Who's paying for it? Because it's one thing if a citizen, without getting too detailed, but if a citizen's having sewer backups in the basement that is causing sewer problems, that's a sewer issue paid for maybe out of sewer funds potentially, where if it's stormwater coming into the basement, that may be stormwater funds, or it may be private insurance that pays for that. And so those kinds of things, it's kind of a real overall overview of what the program's trying to accomplish. And it could go anywhere from maybe deciding that that really is something that private insurance should cover, or it may be something we want to continue doing. So that we should have more details here by the next meeting.
And we did budget, for the city's portion of it, $15,000 for this 2025 calendar year.
I think I have there's two things we're discussing. So the one I was bringing up, it was to build capital projects for the city to use the stormwater funds on.
Yep.
That was the big stuff. And then as far as the dry basement program, yes, I know that was really popular at one time, then it's kind of dwindled. And I don't have a perfect answer for you on how it should be budgeted or anything else, just off of any of my memories.
Yeah, that would be something, we could work out behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell if it was popular at one time and, a bunch of people that had problems, as time went by, were satisfied, or it was popular at one time because more people knew about it and heard about it, and then over time as, they stopped hearing about it, kind of out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so I'm taking down some notes here. So at some point, we'd like to have some type of public hearing, open house, something where citizens could come in and at least identify or present or share, stormwater related problems that they're having. That would be something that maybe then doesn't need to be tied to the dry basement program if we want to make it more of just kind of a general opportunity to folks to share. So I will stick that on kind of the tickler too for one of our future agendas. And I typically try to balance things out a little bit. That could end up being something where maybe we did need to change the meeting time just because, we go into another scheduled meeting. So maybe we would, want to allow a little extra time, or maybe that would be, a meeting in addition to our regular scheduled, meeting to give people a little more chance to, to show up and be heard.
All right, appreciate it.
And then with that, unless any commissioners, there's additional items to talk about, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.